Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's presentation for ThinPrint, the cloud printing solution. My name is Don Grease. I am the Manager of Sales and Business Development here at Lifeboat Distribution, and today we are excited to partner with ThinPrint, the global market leader for software-based, platform-independent print solutions, and to demonstrate how your business can increase its profits by recognizing new license and service opportunities that exist around solving your customers' printing needs. Printing remains one of the most expensive and most critical parts of any workflow, and through today's presentation, we will look at how ThinPrint can help you simplify printing, enhance performance, and drive down customer cost. And you will learn how ThinPrint's proven cloud printing technology can help you grow your private cloud projects. Joining me on the panel today from ThinPrint is Robert Barisi, Sales Manager for ThinPrint. Thank you, Robert, and thank you for your participation and welcome. Now, before I turn over the presentation to our main panelists, I want you to know that we do encourage you to ask questions, and that you may do that by entering your questions in the Q&A panel on the right side of the screen. At the conclusion of the presentation, we will answer as many questions as time allows. And with that, I will now turn over the presentation to Robert. Let me just get this turned over to you.
Great. Got it. Thank you, Don. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and I appreciate everybody taking the time out today to sit with us and talk a little bit about ThinPrint and the Lifeboat Distribution, and I'm actually the sales manager for the East Coast for ThinPrint, but I work with Lifeboat as my distributor. So I do have other counterparts throughout the United States, but everything can start with me, and to get anybody else hooked up with anyone as we go if there's opportunities. What we're going to try to do today is just talk to you a little bit about what does ThinPrint do and who we are. We are the global market leader in printing and solving print management issues, and that's in any environment that you may have, the client-server environment, VDI, and even the smartphone environment. We're going to touch a little bit upon the smartphone environment because there are a lot of new things that came out, and people are touting that they're the first to be able to print from a smartphone, when actually in Intel we've been doing this for probably well over a year to a year and a half. ThinPrint is located, their main headquarters is in Berlin, Germany. It's a German-based company. We are worldwide. Our U.S. headquarters is in Denver, and that's where our support sits. We do have 24/7 support if you so need it, and we also have email support as well as phone support. And that comes into play a little bit later on, and we'll talk a little bit about that. And as you can see the map, we do have other offices throughout the globe. So ThinPrint is a global company and able to handle larger enterprise environments depending on where they are. The partnership, just so you know, ThinPrint is built on resellers. We do not really sell our product direct. We do not have a direct sales team. It is a partner-based or channel-based business, as well as you can see from the presentation there, all of the partners that we currently have. Thin clients, the nice part about this is the people you see there has our ThinPrint client software embedded when it comes out of the factory, and that just helps us sell our ThinPrint solution a lot easier, as well as printers, as you can see, most of the big guys there. And if for some reason on the far end you do not have a place to have our ThinPrint client, our friends there in the networking printing adaptation, as far as the add-ons are concerned, they scale up fairly high if you need to. On the mobile device side, you can go to pretty much any one of the app stores today, whether it be Apple, BlackBerry, or Android, and download our individual user-based ThinPrint software. And if anybody is interested in that, you're welcome to email me. I have free versions that I would be able to give out, which we're trying to get people to naturally use. Our goal is the enterprise client, not really the individual. But as a salesperson in the field, you'll find out very quickly how fast and easy you'll start using the ThinPrint product on your mobile phone in an everyday business environment. So We feel we simply reinvent printing, and basically what that is because we're a software-based platform and we're independent. That's the big word there. We really don't care what kind of software you're running, whether it be in a terminal server environment, a virtual environment, whether it be Citrix, VMware. It's all irrelevant to us because we have a solution that works with everything, and a rather simple solution at that. The administration of it under ThinPrint becomes very, very easy and very simple. So the person who does all your printing needs would actually, they'll get a lot of their time back to do other things. And then the resources on the network. By putting in ThinPrint, you get a lot of those resources back. You'll get shares in the server time. You'll get your WAN, bandwidth back, and we'll talk a little bit about how how that all works. Reducing of hardware and cost, naturally, because your bandwidth doesn't have to be so much. You don't have to purchase such big pipes to those local, branch offices. You can save your money there. And then we have in our 8.0, which is our new version, we have a lot of tracking capabilities. We'll go into a little bit of that. And we have something new coming out in the first quarter of this year called personal printing, and we'll touch a little bit upon that also. And then we'll also talk about how you naturally can reduce the cost for the IT, and also how to sell it to the customer. What is our plan going forward as far as how you could be going to the customers and actually making money. So basically, we're one print provider on all platforms. We play really in the mid-size and large enterprise. We do have products that fit in all the smaller entities, and we'll talk very briefly about that. But as you can see as we go through, I mean, we even have something that works in a host system, AS400, SAP, anything that's kind of out there. Try to look at, as far as this agenda, the IT, you'll see on the left side, you're technically, let's say we're in the data center. In the middle, we're the WAN, which is a transport in between, and then the far end onto the right, we're talking about, our end user. The nice part about this is we play and kind of work well in all of those slots. ThinPrint, basically, their claim to fame is driver-free printing. So naturally, on the data center side or in your servers, those drivers would go away. We have what's called a pseudo driver that basically takes the place of your drivers, so there's no management there. We currently work with about 6,000 drivers today. So just think about how many servers you have out there and what that farm looks like, and how we can kind of put our ThinPrint software on a print server and take back all the time and effort it is to make sure that all your drivers are located on every one of those servers, administrative-wise, and also giving back the shares to the time slots, the CPU time slots, to the servers out there, and being able to do what they want to do and they're supposed to do. That cuts down on maintenance, cuts down on deployment, which is great. We do also have being able to print map a lot easier. We have software within our main software that kind of, when somebody logs on, you get the printers that are assigned to you. Sometimes in a virtual environment, they're there one time, they're not there next. We actually have something that fixes that, and it seems to be working very well. People love it, and like I said, on the administrator side, it's just great. When we go into the network optimization end and the LAN and the WAN, we have ways to control your bandwidth, also compression and streaming. So we have definitely a way. We use the raw EMF files that are generated. So there's no real magic here. We don't do anything with PDFs as far as some other people might do in the industry. We're using the raw data, so it's a lot easier to manipulate, and also we also encrypt. On the user end side, user experience is exactly the same as it is today. Nothing really changes. They may see a little ThinPrint logo in the bottom right-hand corner, but that's really about it. You can have multiple endpoints as far as a user is concerned, and it's available everywhere and at all times. So it just really very seamlessly becomes part of the enterprise and the users. And then we have here just three major categories as far as what we can do as far as accountability. We have ways to, and we'll go a little bit further into this, as far as to track the print jobs and charge back into the different divisions or different people. We can see how much ink somebody's using, how much paper somebody's using, or a group, and be able to record that. And again, with other systems, with maybe hook into a database to charge back within. As far as the administration, there's a way to monitor it and to alert. We talk about drive deployment, like we said, printer assignment. All of this becomes fairly simple using the ThinPrint product. And then the optimization side. And we say on the bottom, if you see paper-free, you say to yourself, well, how can a printer company be paper-free? What we're looking at here is basically, when we get further into some products, you'll be able to look at certain things and manipulate certain print jobs before you print. So what we say is it's really print savings, paper savings, trying to be, a print company and be as green as we possibly can in this day and age. And where you see here is we have our print server in the middle, and actually on the left-hand side, we have our output gateway. If you notice here is what we call, notice all the different entities, your 64-bit, your 32-bit, your Windows XP, Windows 7. What we're trying to get at here is it doesn't matter in the ThinPrint world. You can mix and match and have multiple systems in different variations, and basically it's all going to work. Our V layer is the layer that basically holds our driver software. So there are no native drivers are copied across onto the end user or into the data center. Our V layer stops that. So we have our pseudo driver that sits on that print server and does all that manipulation. And then actually see on the other side, it doesn't really matter, printer, blotter, office, DeskJet, legacy printers. We work with, like I said, 6,000 drivers today, so most likely we can touch upon it. There are those one-offs that we kind of have to tweak, but for the most part, we're fairly in tune with everything that's out there today. And this is just a little bit of a graphic of being able to print and the optimization of it all. We can send stuff over TCP/IP, the RDP, the ICA channel, the bandwidth and the compression limits, and as well as streaming it across your WAN to get the most optimization out of printing those jobs. So again, ThinPrint is just all we do is just printing, so we kind of live and die by it and understand how to get the best of it. Our tracking service, what we were speaking about before, I mean, we can really drill down and build back if certain customers out there want to know where their expenses are going and how they can kind of save money. I mean, the number of pages, you can do volumes, speeds, and what the errors are. And then again, it's easy configuration on a database to be, dumped into something that the customer wants. Our information is in raw form, So if it's something specific that they need or they need to have it done as far as into their own database, most likely it will probably work without a problem. The products that we have, there's a few more than this, but these are kind of the quick hits that I think is predominantly higher in the industry. Our server engine is, if you want to call it the Cadillac of what ThinPrint does. I guess that's incorrect. I should say Mercedes-Benz, being that we're a German company. I guess they get mad at me if I just said Cadillac. But the Mercedes-Benz of ThinPrint is our server engine. It works or sits on a print server. With that print server, basically, like I said, handles everything printing on that print server, so everything's removed off of all the other servers that you have. So that's where if there's a print server in the environment, whether it be 32-bit, 64-bit, doesn't matter to us, that's what you would kind of lead with your sale. A lot of people don't know this, but in VMware, there is actually ThinPrint software out of the factory inherited inside VMware. So right off the bat, they have a little bit of an edge over the Citrix world. But the upsell for the sales guys, everybody on the call, is basically VMware View. And what we mean by that is ThinPrint does work with VMware, but once you start going over a WAN, once you start needing to print to bandwidth control and compression and so on and so forth, you want to be able to upgrade or upsell, I should say, within the VMware client. So that's finding out that real quick. Once in a larger environment, you really do have to upgrade. There's really kind of no alternative to that. And then later on, we'll talk a little bit about Citrix and where we kind of sit in that world. Any other environment that does not have a print server in it, you would go with the application server engine. The application server engine does have to sit on every server. So if you do have 5 servers in the environment, you purchase 5 licenses, or 2 servers, 2 licenses, and so on and so forth. Our licensing structure, just to mention real quick, is you can go server-based or user-based, depending on what works best in the environment as far as dollars and cents. So we can work on that once you bring us some business and figure out which way is the best way to go. But we do have those options. Desktop engine is really, for the person that wants to dial in through his desktop and still print onto the network using ThinPrint. And our RDP engine is the smallest of all, but the nice part about the RDP engine is it's self-contained, and what I mean by that is it's packaged. You can't change your bandwidth control, your compression rate, or anything else within the software like you can in Server Engine and Application Server Engine. Those are tweakable. You can change things as your environment needs and what's best for the environment. The RDP engine is more for like an office of like 100 to 140 people. You can go less than that naturally, but that's the high ends that we like to see. But we've taken our 11 years of expertise and kind of put the best of what we feel is the way it's supposed to look and the best performance that you can get out of it, and kind of put it in a little box and said, okay, this is what we want to lead with, and it seems to work very fine in that environment, and people love it. It solves a lot of printing issues that they have along the way. Coming out in Q1 of this year, we have what's called personal printing. This is getting a lot of attention in the hospital and university arenas. What this is basically you're going to sit at your desk and you're going to print. At this point in time, after you print, the print job goes to our print server. Normally, after it hits the print server, it would go straight to the printer. In this scenario, it does not. It sits at the print job, print server, until you get up and walk over to a printer. It could be any printer within the networking environment. It does not matter if, like in the past, where you have to have your print shares and you have to know who is in that in the printing environment and where you're supposed to be printing. You can go, if you're printing on the 4th floor and for some reason you went to the 7th floor and you needed to print or get that document, you can walk up to that printer and authenticate the print job. And what I mean by that now is up until now, you needed to have a card swipe or a letter, punch numbers in to kind of let them know who you are. You can still do that. We're not dictating which or how you should do that. But where we come into play is we also can authenticate it through a smartphone, whether it be a BlackBerry, for instance. And at that point, what we would do is you would walk up to that printer. We would have a barcode on that printer. You would take out your BlackBerry, you would use your camera with software that was put on the BlackBerry, and you would be able to actually authenticate yourself. So once it knows that it's you, then the print job would be released at the printer that you're at. So the standard edition only gives you one time, meaning I can print one document, I can say I want that to be printed, and it'll be printed. The premium edition can give you multiple documents. So if I sat at my desk and I printed 4 documents and then I walked over to the printer and I decided to print, it would ask me, or it would basically, I would tell it that I want the 3rd job to be printed or the 2nd job to be printed, or I can delete the job from that without even printing it if I decide to do so later. So you have that flexibility with personal printing. And like I said, hospitals and schools seem to be getting a lot of traction with this at this point. Up here it says ThinPrint, it says your desktop. What we want to do here right now is imagine having any printer that you need, or any fast computer basically, and also a fax machine, and the most versatile phone that you can have. And you also want to be connected to your back office as far as your powerful servers and your SAP and SharePoint and all that other great stuff. And imagine you can do that all from the palm of your hand. That's right. Basically, we call it the mobile desktop. This software we call Cortado. As we talked about earlier, it's available today and has been. You can actually walk into a room with Cortado. You can scan the room for a let's say if it's an individual software that you have on your phone, you can scan the room for Wi-Fi or Bluetooth devices for a printer. You can actually open up a Word document. Let's say it's a Brother printer. What we do is once we scan the room and we know that it's a Brother printer, when you say you're going to print that Word document, Cortado goes up into the cloud, pulls down the driver for that Brother printer, attaches it to that Word document, and sends it to the printer that you've already scanned and know that it's in the room, and voila, you have your print job. The nice part about this is it's not any other thing but exactly what I said, meaning that there's no other thing that needs to be done. I don't know if anybody's familiar with how HP does it or Apple is doing it, but it's very limited, and certain hardware has to be in place for it to work. Ours does not. It works with mostly any printer that's out there in exactly the same way we do our .print software today. And we do have a corporate version, and then you really get your you get hooked into the network, and you can print, fax, edit documents that you have on the corporate network, and you can access the drives and do file management, as well as create PDFs on the fly in multi-platform. It's a seamless integration. With your smartphone, you're touching it, you're feeling it as it is today. It's just actually a couple of few drop-down menus that you'll wind up getting. But we work today with, again, the BlackBerry, the iPhone, the iPad, the tablets that are out there, your Android. It's a really cool product. Once you actually play with it, you'll realize that it works. But again, like I said, there's an individual version that everybody on this phone can probably play with and get used to, and then naturally we're looking to sell it to the corporate entity and sell a corporate server, which is called Cortado Corporate Server, and go from there. If you do buy personal printing, you actually do get a Cortado corporate server license. At least that's what we've been doing to try to get everybody acclimated with the software itself to kind of get it out there into the field. So focusing on cost savings, and this is where we're going to talk about how to sell and where we're selling and where we're saving, I should say, with an 8.0. And this is just time, how we came up with the time. I mean, support-related printing issues, saving about 75% of the time just in trouble tickets and having problems with printing. And then printer deployment, coming up with about 90% of that, and as well as requiring to change the queues and stuff. So all this turns into dollar savings if you're saving all this time doing this. In the IT world, again, back to the bandwidth, saving 90% of that, as well as a higher capacity through savings in hardware and licenses, and printer downtime. That's a big one. Not having your printer down, being able to print is huge. In some banking industries and others, I mean, that's comes down to making money or not. You don't want to stop the business just because of not being able to print. And then again, the efficiency to the user. I mean, the print jobs are immediate, even in a low bandwidth connection. We have a way to do that. And then the stability, it's the same feel that you see today that they have, like I said, except for a little ThinPrint logo. And then it's always pretty much available. There's nothing to turn on or turn off. Once you log on, you have that software. And then as far as the user is concerned, it's a standard GUI, which is nice. There's nothing to reapply to anybody. And then we're going to talk a little bit, how is ThinPrint better than the competition? We really don't have a lot of competition out there, which is nice. If they're having printing issues, a lot of people do know the ThinPrint name. And the nice part about this is, I always say, is when we have anything that you download from a website is a 30-day free trial, and I can give you keys to take off the watermark so they can actually put it in production. And once they try it, it usually fixes what needs to be fixed, and they buy it. So it's a straightforward process. We love it that it's as stable as it is, and it's been around a long time. It's really easy to work with. So as far as competition is concerned, even though Citrix is our partner, I guess you would say that their UPD3 is somewhat of a competitor, but to be honest, it's really not. The UPD really only works in a certain setting if they're on the LAN and within their own, kind of bailiwick there. It does know pretty much dedicated print server. So if they did want to put a print server there, again, the upgrade is to ThinPrint, as well as we remove, again, all the jobs off the Citrix server, so it goes back to be able to do what it needs to do, and the print job just does what it needs to do. And there's no network printer support. So once you go over the WAN, you can't use the UPD. You have to kind of use ThinPrint, and that's a big one. So you gain not only being able to print, you gain your bandwidth control, your compression, and your print mapping, which helps in that. And then they also don't have pretty much no thin client support, where we work with all the thin clients that are out there. So if again, if Citrix is out there and they have thin clients, you really can't use their UPD anyway. And then they don't really scale well in the big environments, and ThinPrint does. So where the UPD kind of stops working, you can kind of look at it as ThinPrint would take on the rest of the slack at that point. Our other competitor that we see out there is called Tricerat, and they have a thing called a Screwdriver, which again, they use a PostScript type of solution to manipulate the data, like I said, and we just use a regular raw EMF format that comes out, which there kind of equates to slower printing where ours don't. And they have very little dedicated print server capability. You don't gain all the wonderful features that we have, and they don't have any thin client support. And they copy drive onto the server where we don't. We keep it separate because of our V-layer software, and again, it's not copying drivers. We have a pseudo driver that takes the place of all the drivers that are on your system. So it's a way better solution than what's out there. And they don't have any local printer support. We are probably the only ones that can print to locally attached printers. So if you have somebody dialing in from home and going through the office and connecting and doing what they need to do, we can actually print on the printer that's next to them using ThinPrint and still being connected to the network. Another issue is some people go out, they'll buy a printer at Walmart and just go and plug it in. Well, we work with 6,000 drivers today, and most likely with ThinPrint, I mean, that's an administrative nightmare if you have people working from home going out and buying whatever they want and plugging it in, and then the calls start rolling in. How come this doesn't work? Well, most likely if you have ThinPrint implemented, it will work, and you wouldn't even know that person went out and bought that printer, and they just hooked it up and it started working, which is a great value in the administrative side of the world. And then no utilities to automatically map printers, and we have our output gateway that does that better than anybody in the industry. And then all we do is really focus on print management. Tricerat does a little database manipulation, and we don't. So we try to stick with focusing on what we know and what we do well, and it seems to have worked well for the last 11 years that we've been in the business. So what should you ask when you go out to a client, and to try to sell the ThinPrint thing? Are your remote users having issues printing to locally attached printers? That's a big one. Like I said, somebody working from home, a branch office, things like that, having a hard time. Are the administrators having a difficult time managing print drivers on all different printers? Again, our virtual driver feature, being able to remove those drivers from the setup there and just going with our pseudo driver. That's the whole reason for one of the reasons for ThinPrint. And then are the print drivers taking too long going over the WAN, or to a branch office, satellite office, and that's where the compression and the bandwidth control feature comes in. And then our users not able to see their printers, again, the auto mapping feature, which we kind of fill. So some of these issues might be coming up with in your everyday talking with them. And then how smooth is the overall corporate printing been? Do they do a lot of trouble tickets? Are there things not working and getting jammed up? And so that's something that we can all address. And then naturally, what we all want to know is how do we make money? Selling ThinPrint. Basically, we try to say make it part of every quote that you have in that scenario. You don't want to create a second sales cycle, only because it's just harder to sell once you start it again. The product is not that expensive to kind of turn around and say, well, you know what, it has to be sold separately. If you're out there selling Citrix, a terminal server, or VMware, it's real easy to kind of include it within that. Maybe revisit your old clients and inquire about their printing issues. And then, also the upsell is if they are having print issues, not just selling it ThinPrint, but what happens if they need a print server? You can be selling them a print server along with ThinPrint, which gives you more bang for your buck and makes a better sale for you on the server and engine side of the fence. So you're not only selling the software, you're also selling the hardware if your business has that. We do have 3 flavors when you sell it. You can sell it with just software with update subscription, and then software, update subscription, and phone support. We like to sell it naturally with all 3 because if you do, every year you get residuals. It's a gift that keeps on giving because you get the phone support and the update dollars and cents, and plus also you keep the customer on the cutting edge of software, also able to talk to them a lot more in regards to their printing needs and work with them on a yearly basis for that matter. And then, again, we talked a little about the VMware and the upsell on a dedicated print server. If your customer has VMware, the VMware with View is an easy and nice upsell. And just again, the core features, just to kind of recap, is our driver-free or virtual printing, if you so call it, unique print mapping, as well as bandwidth management, adaptive compression, removal of the spooling process from the servers, because the print server would do that, printing by a dedicated print server, there you go, and then locally attached dedicated local printing for a dedicated print server, and then also direct thin client support, which a lot of people don't have, and our adaptive speed, being able to change all of that. So in summary, ThinPrint basically makes printing faster, more secure, easier, more reliable, and more efficient. It just seems to handle and answer a lot of the questions and problems that the corporate people out there are having. I will say that if there's an issue with printing and they test our product, they will like it. It will, pretty much work. We have great support. Our engineers would, you do it through myself and Lifeboat naturally. You get in contact with them. They would get in contact with me, and we can put a call together, whether it be a webinar, a WebEx, with our engineer to help facilitate the download and the installation of the demo. Or it could be as simple as just getting on a call and explaining a little bit, regarding the product. The main thing is I don't want everybody out there doing the heavy lifting. If you have an opportunity and you think that there's something out there that you need some hands, whether it be talking on the phone or somebody technical out there, you can always give us a call, Lifeboat and myself. We're more than willing to get on a call with you and answer any questions and help out with your customer and make sure that the experience, the ThinPrint experience, is a good one. And I will say that if it's set up correctly and run right, they will enjoy it. I appreciate everybody's time today. I know that it was fast and furious, but just kind of give you a background of what ThinPrint is. You might have heard of us along the way, but maybe not knew that we were so involved and had so much depth and breadth in regarding printing, regardless of where you're printing from. So again, I appreciate everybody taking the time. Hopefully, if there's any more questions, you can talk to your Lifeboat rep, and they'll be more than happy to set up any questions or calls with myself to answer anything further. And I also, again, Don, I don't know if you're jumping in here or do you want me to start answering some of the questions? We don't have many, but we do have a little bit.
Well, Robert, thank you very much for the presentation. Clearly, ThinPrint has a great story to tell, whether you're talking about the technology, whether you're talking about cost savings for your customers, greater reliability for your customers, or the opportunity for our reseller customers at Lifeboat to make money selling the product. So that is all good. And we do have questions. And I do want to mention that an engineer from ThinPrint, Henry Northcote, has jumped on the line with us. I've actually seen Henry starting to answer some questions, but let me go through what I see right now, and Robert, either you or Henry can field these questions. So the first one I have, let me get to it. The question is there a security component to your V layer?
Security component, in the sense of the software itself, I guess, our licensing needs to be applied in order for the software to work. If you mean like to add extra security to the actual print queues, No, ThinPrint does not provide security for the printers. What we provide is driver isolation, printer mapping, and compression bandwidth control for improving of print jobs, faster printouts, and reducing the network load. Why not? So there's no actual extra security feature that ThinPrint provides to the Windows spooling system.
All right, thank you, Henry. Let's move on to the next question that I see here, which is, we have seen issues with certain applications that have trouble printing certain reports. One report would print fine with PCL 5E, but would not print fine when we use UPD or PCL 6 drivers in a Citrix environment. Would this take care of that?
Well, yes, in the sense that what ThinPrint does is simplifies the print environment. So what we can do is we can redirect the print data to one specific driver that you know it works, and then render the print job there and send it already rendered back to whatever location the user is trying to print to. This could be a network printer with an IP address, could be a local attached printer for the user on their home machine. Why not? So yes, we can work. We can help organize these drivers so we can utilize the drivers that we know they work, instead of being copying all the drivers and then having to figure out which drivers to take out of the Citrix server and which ones to use. So yes, so ThinPrint does not really render the print jobs. What we do is we redirect the print data, and in that sense simplifies the printing environment by only allowing to use the print drivers, allowing to use all the print drivers only in one location. This could be your central print server, or this could be the user's home machine, or this could be a print server on a branch office. Why not? And therefore, you have full control of your drivers, and you are not copying them all over the place. You're just keeping them in one simple location.
Okay. Next question now. If a customer has an older printer plotter and the manufacturer has not released drivers for Windows 7 or Windows 2008 because the printer is no longer supported, will ThinPrint overcome this issue?
Yes. Again, what we can do is we can redirect this print job data, which is actually called the EMF enhanced meta file. So what we do is we capture this and we place it anywhere in the network for rendering. So if the manufacturer does not create a driver for the OS where this printer is installed, then we can actually install the driver in any other OS in the network where this driver that allows this driver to be installed, and render it there, and then send it rendered already back to the user's machine. And then the user can just have any generic driver, let's say an HP4, why not? Any generic driver could work, and what it will happen is that since the print job is already rendered, it will come into the queue and will spit it out to the printer without any issues, because this print job already has been rendered by the proper driver. So yes,
okay.
we can definitely do that.
Very good. And now Henry, I'm going to ask a question. It looks like you answered this in the background, but just so that everyone can hear the answer, the question was, if all I want is a way to eliminate drivers for RDP users, small quantity, less than 5 per server, is RDP Engine all I need?
Correct. RDP Engine will work properly to eliminate drivers as long as the drivers can reside within the user's machines. So if the users are coming, if the terminals where the users are using to connect to that RDP, via RDP to the terminal server, are Windows 7 machines or XP or Vista or any kind of rich OS client, we can definitely keep those drivers there and not have to deal with them on the terminal server. And that's exactly what the RDP engine will do. Now, if the users are coming from a thin client, that's a different story, because a thin client cannot render anything. The thin clients are just pretty much dumb boxes that are connecting to the server, so the server is doing all the work. So then, yes, we will need to use some drivers in that sense, if that was the case. But we can again simplify this amount of drivers to with just a couple drivers that will be able to take care of all the users.
All right. Thank you again, Henry. Now, I think I've gone through all of the questions that were posted. So what I'm going to do, folks, is I'm going to move on to our traditional call to action. But I will tell you that if you do have any additional questions, please continue to enter them, and we will try to get to them yet before we wrap this up. But moving on, we would like you to know that to get further information, you have a few options available to you. We certainly encourage you to visit the ThinPrint website at thinprint.com. There you will find a product finder. You will find demo software for the products, and you can find partner information, including the ThinPrint Partner Web. So it's a great resource, and as I say, we encourage you to take a few moments to go to that website and check out all that's there to help you sell ThinPrint. As Robert mentioned earlier, you certainly can contact Robert. He can answer any questions you have about working with ThinPrint. He can plug you into the resources that you need, whether you're looking for a deep dive demo or whether you have an opportunity. As Robert said, ThinPrint is ready, willing, and able to do the heavy lifting for you. And so that's a pretty amazing resource to have available to you. And then finally, of course, as you know, you can contact your Lifeboat distribution sales rep here anytime, Monday through Friday. We're certainly also willing to help connect you to ThinPrint to schedule demos, to get on phone calls, conference calls, perhaps even site visits if that's what's required. We're here to help you with any of your opportunities, and we can certainly offer you pricing and pre-sales assistance and answer your licensing questions. So let me just take another look to see if any new questions have come in. Let's see here. Nothing there. And nothing there. Folks, if you think of anything once we sign off here in a few moments, please feel free to contact me directly. Certainly feel free to reach out to Robert. We will answer anything that you might have thought of afterwards. We're happy to do that. But for now, let me just thank you for attending today's presentation. Again, it's been a pleasure for Lifeboat Distribution to be a part of today's event. We do hope to hear from all of you soon. But for now, let me just say for Lifeboat Distribution and ThinPrint, thank you again, and have a great day.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.